Michael Anderson, this is going to be a very patriotic episode. And the reason why is because we have owner and track promoter of America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park, Bill Bader Jr., joining us here tonight on Kings of the Sport. Man, you talk about it. Bill Bader is huge in the world of drag racing and honored to have him here on episode 15 of Kings of the Sport, man. This will be a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's I've done a little background kind of looking at the fella and what all he's done kind of over the years, and I mean he looks like he's had a lot of fun in the world of motorsports and drag racing for sure. Super cool for him to be on our show, to come out and talk about what's going to be going on. I think everybody kind of knows. We talked last week about the Blue Suede Cruise along with the Extreme Top Fuel cars running next weekend. So yeah, we're gonna have them on there, kind of talk about what's going to happen. I've never been to the Blue Suede Cruise. I've heard that it's just from everybody kind of talking that's gone for years, that it's a really good event. I'm really looking forward to it. Whenever I talked to him today on the phone for just a minute, I think he was like, "Holy cow, this guy's driving from Abilene, Texas, to come race at this race." So it was a good conversation, and he was excited to get on here and kind of talk about what's going to be going on.
And one thing about Bill Bader Jr. and that whole staff at Summit Motorsports Park, America's Racetrack, they know how to put on an event and to promote an event. That's one thing they do great. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals, the Blue Suede Cruise, Night Under Fire, which is every summer. They put on a heck of an event. It's usually at nighttime with fireworks and everything like that. And I'm pretty sure they're going to put on another great event for the Blue Suede Cruise coming up, like you said, next weekend. I actually had a friend, my co-host of Inside the NHRA, where we recap all the NHRA national events, Dave W. He's actually raced at the Blue Suede Cruise. He's actually attended multiple times. So he's been there a lot of times, and it's been a great event. And this year, Top Fuel is on the slate. I'll tell you what, man, this is also race number 2 on the Extreme Top Fuel Series season. That's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. We've got quite a few cars that are going to be showing up, and it should put on a really good show. All the guys, a big chunk of guys from the Midwest are going to be there, running their cars, and it's been a little while since they've got to run. A few of them, 4 or 5 came down to Denver and ran. So we're going to see a bunch of cars that haven't even ran this year. This will be the first time that they actually get out and run their cars. So it should be an exciting event. People ought to get a good dang show, man. You know how I am about this. These cars sell themselves, man. That's why they're the kings of the sport. I feel like once everybody gets there and kind of sees what happens with these cars and gets around it, and they have been. They've ran quite a few times there. I know back in 2019, whenever some tracks got shut down and all that kind of good stuff. That everything kind of laid low, but then it got kicked back up last year, year before, and good events and everything that needed to go on went on. Man, I'm pumped, dude. I've been, oh my God, Darren, I've been like wrenching on this car, like me and James, man, and it's been 106 to 108 degrees every day. Ooh. Every day. And I got my shop. It's not central air and heat, but we got like fans everywhere, and it's just like you're standing there next to a hairdryer. It's just blowing hot air on you, man. But you got to get it done, and I'm sure everybody else is doing it. Like I was talking to Jimmy Young today, and I was like, "What's the weather up there in Wisconsin?" And he's like, "Oh, it's hot. It's like 80 degrees and humidity." I was like, "Dude, like that ain't hot. I'm telling you right now, that ain't hot." So. Man, but everybody seems to be getting their cars ready. It's always a thrash. Trying to get your parts. I've got parts at the machinist right now. He might even be watching the show. Get my heads done, Jared. I need them tomorrow. And just stuff coming in. So and everybody's like that. But we'll get there. We'll all show up, and all we need is a little nitro and a mag switch.
There you go. That's all you need. Welcome, everybody, to episode 15 of the Kings of the Sport podcast. As always, I'm your host, Darren Williams Jr., and as always, joining me, the man, the myth, the legend, the West Texas hustler, West Texas hustler, Mr. Michael Anderson. And like I said, Michael, this is race number 2 on the Extreme Top Fuel Series. The first one was held at Bandimere Speedway about a couple months ago. Jimmy Young dominated. Just kind of fill us in on how many cars are showing up in a couple of weeks, or excuse me, next weekend to the Blue Suede Cruise in the second race on the Extreme Top Fuel Series, and what can we expect?
We've got 12 cars on the list. We're probably expecting, 10, stuff comes up. We had one guy, he broke his hand. Like like a few days ago, man, it's a weird deal, man. Like, sorry about that, Jason Greenwood, like right in the middle of this whole deal, man. And, he's got a really good, strong car and, but just stuff happens. So as we get there, our plans always have 10 cars, 8-car field, 10 cars show up, everybody get there and do a little racing. And if something happens, we got people that can fill in or, whichever way we need to go. But, it should be a good, strong field. The guys are, they're killer, man. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I've never been up there. I've never been to Ohio. So the whole deal of this is, I'm going to drive to a whole place. I'm going to drive up to St. Louis first and stay at my chassis builder's house, O'Brien Fox over at King Chassis. Then he's going to hop in the truck with us, and we're going to finish going on up to Norwalk, and then race that weekend, and then that Sunday, after the race, we're packing our stuff and driving to Martin, Michigan, and just going to leave the truck and trailers there, and I think there's 2 or 3 of us racers that are just going to leave it there, and get back to the house, do what we need to do. It's going to be Western swing. We got it, baby, going on. We got this Central America swing going on right now.
Like you mentioned, this is a great time for nostalgia racing, for frontage and top fuel and nostalgia funny car. But because, like you said, you have the Extreme Top Fuel race at America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park next weekend. And then right after that, it's Martin, Michigan, and the Nightfire Nationals from Boise that following weekend, the first weekend of August. So great time right now if you have a nostalgia top fuel car or a nostalgia funny car.
Yeah, if you can't find a race to go to in the next 2 months or the end of this month into August, you just lost, because there's plenty to get out there and watch, man. It's going to be busy. And then even, after Martin and Boise, you're within 3 weeks, you're going to be racing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, that's going to be probably another big meeting of cars that's going to end up happening down there. So, I mean, you're pretty solid, over the next, month of getting out there and seeing these cars run. And I can't recommend it enough, man, to get out there and get next to these things and, have your eyes, watering and your nose running and, coughing and laughing and, have you a beer and sit down and, watch a bunch of idiots spend money that they don't have, just stuff like that. So, yeah, it's going to be busy. It's going to be a busy month, man. So, how was your deal at the Mile High Nationals over there at Bandimere, man? Did you have a good time?
Thank you for asking me, man. So I'll tell you what, guess who's on the property at Mile High, Bandimere Speedway?
I know there was a whole mess of folks there. Who was it?
Yeah, it was crowded, but Mike Taylor was there.
Oh, yeah. He flew in for the day.
Yeah.
Flew in for the day, man. So, to get down there and hang out, that's awesome. Did you get to talk with him?
No, so I saw his message Saturday morning, and I was working in the media center, and then so I was like, I hit him up Saturday afternoon. I was like, hey, where you at? And he said, I had to leave. I have to get back to Chicago on Sunday. So I didn't get to run into Mike Taylor, but hopefully sometime in the future. I asked him if he was going to Indy for the U.S. Nationals. He said not sure yet, but hopefully we can meet sometime soon. But I'll tell you what, Thunder Mountain, Bandimere Speedway, the final Mile High Nationals. What a great event the Bandimere's put on. NHRA, they showed out. My first time up on the mountain, dream come true. I've always wanted to go to Mile Highs, Bandimere, Thunder Mountain. They put on a show, and I can tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better weekend. And we saw great racing overall, from pro stock motorcycle to pro stock, the funny car to top fuel. And man, just what a great event. You talk about the storylines. Clay Millican. How about Clay Millican? Feast or famine. If he gets out the first round, he's winning the race. And that's what we saw. Matt Hagan, the Dodge driver, the Mopar Direct Connection, Mopar, he wins the final Dodge Power Brokers NHRA Nationals. Try to say that 10 times fast. You got Gage Herrera winning a pro stock motorcycle. Troy Coughlin for Jags winning a pro stock. Just an awesome event. And sad to see that track go, because it is beautiful, man. It is a beautiful racetrack.
No, whenever we went and raced, it was just an amazing event, all the way around amazing. Just the facility is amazing. The people were amazing. The fans were just unbelievable. I can't even imagine being there and it's sold out every single day.
Yeah,
Because I mean, that is a lot of people in that facility right there. I
yeah,
mean, that had to have been something else to see because I mean, we were probably three quarters,
mhm.
with our race, and then to have that happen every single day, couldn't happen to a better group of folks for that to happen. And, I think it showed the support to that family what all the people around there really wanted to do.
And I'll
But
tell you what, you
but
got it.
I definitely want to bring up the Leah Pruitt race, man. That was insane. That was bracket car racing right there. Bracket and what was it 023 to 036 light in top
Yes,
fuel? God
yes, yeah,
almighty, dude.
yeah.
That's
It's like
crazy.
if you cut a 036 on a top fuel car and still lose, it's like, what do you got to do, right? I mean,
And
come on,
run the
man.
same exact number. The same 390 with a 5. I mean,
Man.
I was like yelling at the TV like, oh, what the oh my.
Okay, but you mentioned that race. How about Ron Capps, Matt Hagan semifinals, long tree. Matt Hagan goes out there, cuts a 008 light,
Yeah,
410
yeah,
to a
that was
405.
that was a good miss. That's what that was. That was a good damn miss right there. So, but yeah, it was cool, man. I'm glad you had a good time. I really know that you want to get over there and check that deal out, man. And did you get to see Kevin Rowe and talk with him any or?
I did not know.
Yeah, those
I
dudes are
saw
all cool.
I saw Sporty on the scooter a couple times. He passed by. So actually, here's the funny story. So Friday night, I'm in the media center. It's midnight, right? I'm in the media center. I'm trying to do my recap for YouTube. So I'm have the laptop in front of me. I'm talking away, covering the results and stuff like that. And Sporty walks in the room, and I'm like, oh, shoot, that's Sporty Vandermeer. Like, dude, I already talk fast, right? So when Sporty walks in, I get flustered. I'm like, I start talking all fast. I'm mumbling over my words. I'm like, oh shoot, it's Sporty Vandermeer. So, I have so much respect for for these track owners and promoters for what they do for the sport of drag racing. Just like our guest tonight, Bill Bader Jr. They just do so much for the sport of drag racing and don't get enough credit. So, great to see Sporty again and talk to him. Like I said, we've had him on the show before, and what a great event, Michael. I'll tell you what. I feel like I'm a pretty in shape guy. Like, I used to play basketball back in the day, weightlifting. I used to compete in weightlifting. Um, I went to Denver and I'm like, this feels like nothing. This is thin air. It's nothing, right? Just whatever. I walked up those stairs to get to the grandstands. Yo, I was like, where the air go?
Yeah, that's the true test if you're in good shape or not is those stairs up that deal because it's like the never ending thousand stairs right there on that
Oh
deal.
my goodness.
Yeah, it's something else, man. You don't think about it until you really start getting that heart rate up, man. And people, you'll see people up there like, yeah.
A guy actually he passed out. We seen him pass out. He was they was trying to administer aid to him and give him water and stuff like that. It was a pretty hot weekend and like you said, the thin air and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a pretty surreal moment seeing that right there. It was pretty crazy. But man, like you said, just a dream come true weekend to get to go to the final Mile High Nationals, Thunder Mountain. Been watching drag racing since I was a kid, so really a dream come true.
Yeah, and you better bring your wheel chalk whenever you're there in the staging lanes because you're sitting at a 45-degree angle to come down there, to the track. I mean, yeah, I'm like, my forearms just sitting there on the brake like that, So, well,
Yo,
cool deal, man. Like, I'm glad you got to go. It's definitely worth going
last
to.
thing though, those F-16s though, that flyover, pretty badass. That
Man,
was
that
awesome.
and that's the thing about these track owners. I mean, you take a Sporty or a Bill Bader, and they put on. It's just as much or not more of a show for the fans and out there, and that's what makes them want to come back because they're
Mhm.
looking forward to what's the next big thing. What's these crazy guys going to come up with, for us to see, and I feel like our next guest has probably come up with some pretty dang good ones. That's for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. And he is in the green room patiently waiting right now. So let's get him on in just a second. Before we do that, though, let's take a look at some comments because we got a lot of people tuning in here tonight. Dujane Bland, he co-hosted the Competition Plus Power Hour on Competition Plus YouTube and Facebook with me last night. He says, hardest working man right here. Appreciate that right there. And Sean Bowen right there. He says, I'm excited to race finally. We haven't seen Sean since the March meet at the beginning
Right.
of the season.
Right. Yeah, I know he's sitting there chomping at the bit. They've been, you just can't sit there that long.
Jim Moody says Nitro Drool. I got to talk to Jim Moody on Facebook this past week. Really cool dude right there.
Yeah.
What else we got here before we move on? Jim says Boise or a California hot rod reunion. All these extreme top fuelers meets, man. California hot rod, I'm thinking.
Yeah. We definitely need to all meet there. That would be insane, dude. Insane. 25 cars end up in California.
Curtis says, I'm trying to decide this weekend whether or not it's Taylor Swift or Big Show. So Taylor Swift was at the in Denver this past weekend. The Yankees, Taylor Swift, and the drag races were all in town this past weekend. Final comment, Sean Van Horn, like watching racing from the heavens. Great to have Sean Van Horn tuning in here to Kings of the Sport episode 15. So, Michael, ready to get our guest on?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Bader Jr. is next.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it in the neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope. The drag racing life and the RV life seem to go hand in hand like nitromethane and superchargers. And when you are traveling through the Lone Star State and you're needing work done on your RV, well, DFW RV Center is your star to contact.
I like that commercial right there. I like that beat. That was pretty cool. Bill, I think you you recognize that guy in that commercial right there, right?
Yes, I did. I recognize him. Absolutely.
One of the hardest working men in drag racing. Lee Craft, he does a lot for the sport of drag racing, covering and stuff like that. Well, Bill, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the Kings of the Sport podcast. Obviously, we're going to preview the Blue Suede Cruise and Extreme Top Fuel race happening there next weekend. But before we do that, at the beginning of the show, we talked a lot about Bandimere Speedway and the final NHR Mile High Nationals. As a man who's a track owner, a track promoter, and comes from a drag racing family, how tough was it to see the Bandimeres have their final race up on the mountain this past weekend?
Well, that's always tough. I mean, that's a legacy family that's been operating that racetrack. That's a third generation operation, and always tough to see. And I listen, I understand it. I understand the decisions. I understand the workload. I understand the risk. And so while there are some critics and I can't really fault them, not in any way, shape, matter, or form. I think it's a big hole in that part of the country. We are very blessed here because you can fall down in any direction and hit a racetrack. Very densely populated with quarter mile, eighth mile drag racing. And so I really feel for those fans. I feel for those racers. It's just sad, and we'll see what happens. And then of course, last night, I get a text message from my division director saying Atco was sold and is closed effective immediately. And I saw today they're trying to sell a 5,000 seat grandstand. So, it's no secret that the sport that we all love and have dedicated our lives to is under attack. And it's, we just got to figure it out, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. Well, I spent a lot of time with the Bandimeres whenever we were putting together that first race for Extreme Top Fuel. Love those guys, man. Can't I hope everything works out with them. I'm sure it is. I hope they can, get that second track possibly built. It's going to be a hell of a time. I know it's going to be a hell of a deal to try to make it happen, but I guess if there's anybody that can do it around there, it's going to be that group. They ought to know how to make it work. But on a lighter note, I've been waiting. I have been waiting to ask this question for 2 days now.
Oh God.
If a man wanted to have fun with a drywall bucket, what would he have to do? Because I feel like you are the expert on making a drywall bucket really fun.
Well, it's not that hard. You take a drywall bucket, you make sure it's clean. You drill a hole into the bottom of it, a real small hole, put 2 leads, something as simple as, a household lamp cord, and you put some black powder in there, and you put in some Cremora, and you attach it to a battery, and the fun begins.
So whenever I watch that video, and and Jimmy sent it to me, he goes, "You got to watch this deal right here." And so I'm watching it, and I'm like, I've been around a lot of stuff that has to do with guns and just crazy firework kind of stuff, and I was like, I have never heard of that deal. Right? I literally had to look it up a little bit, and then I was like, this man has just got on here and explained to the world how to make the coolest damn firework bomb, nuclear looking deal that could ever happen.
Well, and that was Terry Granneman, our longtime pyrotechnician. His nickname was Torch. He's still alive and with us. He hasn't blown himself up yet, but we were just experimenting. And this Cremora is the same stuff you put in your coffee. And I want to be clear, this is not some commercial grade or industrial grade. This is coffee Cremora. And it was fascinating. I mean, it's amazing that we made one fatal mistake, and that is when we detonated the first one. We had put it together, we detonated it, it was impactful. What we didn't count on was packing a 5-gallon drywall bucket full of Cremora, letting it sit for 14 hours, and then detonating it. And it was kind of like times 100. And I really did. God is my witness. I said, I called on the radio and I said, I think we've killed some people, and we're done. I just said, we're done. And the crowd control fence is cleared. I was panicked. People on the midways hit the deck. I am sure that all of our beloved veterans who have served this country probably thought that they were in some forward area again under attack, because everybody was on the ground. And I remember I called on the radio and I thought, oh my God. And then people erupted. And but my father, that's probably, reflecting back, that's probably the maddest he's ever, well, no, he's been that mad at me twice. And that was one of the 2 times. But we survived. Everybody survived. You lesson learned, right? So, but you keep experimenting, you keep tinkering. We love blowing things up. It's a lot of fun. We do it safely, I guess, reasonably safely, but it's just a pastime we enjoy.
That's all. Go ahead,
Michael. I'm happy you actually asked that, because we had Bill Bader Jr. on the Competition Plus Power Hour right before the national event, and I actually got a lot of hate mail because I didn't ask Bill directly that question. So I'm happy you brought that up. A lot of people told me that accident.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if ATF comes and visits me in the morning, I will do a follow-up interview on how that went.
Yeah.
But,
well, you might be on their marker a little bit. After I watched that, I watched probably not so much of a lighthearted deal going back, a few years to 2019, 2020, and I want to tell you that I have the utmost respect for you for doing what you did, and saying what you really felt as an American, what needed to happen. Being down here in Texas, we had that happen a lot. It was a pretty vocal place, but it was very interesting to see what would happen up north a little bit. And, to have somebody step out in that big of a spotlight, that's a well-known individual in your state that was pretty badass, man. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, thank you. And my wife didn't think so. Some other folks didn't think so, but it was just what was on my heart, and I'm passionate. We're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year, my family's 50th year of owning the park. And I just spoke from the heart and spoke the truth. And, I unfortunately, oftentimes people get criticized for that. And we do live in a free country where everybody should be able to speak their mind within a controlled setting, right? We're not going to take bricks and crowbars, and we're not going to burn down city blocks. I disagree with that, but freedom of speech is important. And I did get a lot of people's attention with that. I got a letter from the state of Ohio attorney and some other folks, but it all worked out. Here we are 3 years removed from that. And business is great. People are coming back out and enjoying life. And that's what this country is all about. So it was an interesting time back in 2020. It's hard to believe that it's been 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Remarkable, really.
Right. Yeah. 100. And whenever that happened, and I'm not going to beat this dead horse, but I'm always interested in these deals. But whenever that happened, whenever you kind of came out and you opened up, how was it received from the fans and the racers and everything?
Huge. We have been blessed. 21 was, we have had 2021, 2022, and 2023 have been 3 extraordinary years, record-breaking years. And to have that kind of support from your community, from your racing family, from the people in your area. I mean, all throughout 2020, we were getting letters from all over the country from people. And just more than anything else that came out of 2020 was the extraordinary support from people I knew, people I didn't know. And that really, we held one event in 2020, and that was the Norwalk High School senior graduation. And I would have never imagined that I would have been a host site for high school graduation. But I have to tell you that will go down in my career as one of the highlights of my time at Summit Motorsports Park. It's definitely a top 10 moment. And had COVID not happened, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to be a host facility for that. So, there's always a silver lining around every cloud, right? So you look for that, you learn from it, and you move forward.
Cool.
And Michael, I have to ask, Darren, what is Michael's nickname?
The West Texas Hustler.
The West Texas Hustler. That's awesome.
Yes.
Michael, is that on the side of your car?
It's on the actual, really big on the cow.
Okay.
So yeah, it's you can't miss it. I'm gonna tell you.
I will be announcing at the Blue Suede Cruise, so I will make sure. I love that name. That's fantastic. It's funny when we think about Darren. How old are you, Darren?
28.
Okay, so you're. I'm 55, so I'm a little bit older than you. I'm guessing Michael is probably closer to my age demo than you, Darren. But I was thinking about, so this is our 50th anniversary, and I'm planning these events and this celebration, and I'm thinking about the greatest cars, the greatest drivers. And do you know that what I was overwhelmed with were names? The Chi-Town Hustler, the Blue Max, the War Eagle. And of course, Michael, your name. We are missing the boat in our attempt when we sold the sides and tops and lids and undersides of our cars to corporate America. We definitely gave up something in terms of identity, in terms of branding, in terms of, the Bounty Hunter, Cha-Cha, Big Daddy, all of these great names. And so when I started thinking about this, I was flooded with car names, not driver names. And it was just kind of an interesting exercise. So if I'm ever president of a sanctioning body, by God, we're going to commit X amount of space to a car name on the sides of all these cars.
Well, that's one thing that we really love about, our racing is the individuality of the car. The car itself is its own persona. Yeah, there's drivers and everything else, but people recognize the car first before they, they'll even say hi to you. They're like, oh, I've seen that car on social media, or I've seen this over here, or it's been on the show, or, it's really cool. I get stuff, all the time from people. Hey, can you send me a t-shirts or, hero cards or stickers or, and it's really about the car. It ain't my ugly mug. I can tell you that right now, but, but they like to identify with a name like that, and there's a lot of cool names out there for sure. And that, the big show is the big show. We all know what that is, but whenever we're coming to this race, to this Blue Suede Cruise, those people are going to be able to identify with this one car that they saw, like, why is this guy from Texas hanging out in Norwalk, Ohio? And it's because we're here to run some top fuel, man. It's still top fuel, whichever way you look at it.
Well, and it's cool that cars are coming from all over the country. I'm really excited to be a host facility for this program. Jimmy's been beating on me unmercifully for a period of years. And actually, I think we were scheduled to do this in 20, and then COVID hit, and then I needed a recovery time. And he reaches out to me 6 to 8 times a year. And I said, Jimmy, we're in for 23. Fans are excited. There are questions. We're feeling a lift. So I can't wait. I mean, these cars are cool. And I know a whole lot of people that can't wait to smell some nitro here in a couple weeks.
And I've said this before, it doesn't matter if it's the national event, if it's the Cavalcade of Stars, Night Under Fire, you know how to promote an event, no matter the scale. Just kind of talk about the Blue Suede Cruise and, how long it's been around and just kind of what people can expect when they show up next weekend.
Well, it is the 22nd annual. So this is the 22nd year for the Lingenfelter Blue Suede Cruise. It started out as a 1972 and older street rod show. And the whole idea was that it was going to be a car event. And what we were going to do to make our show different was we had a racetrack, so we could offer fun runs. So all these folks who sit on that show field for 3 days, now they had an opportunity to go down the racetrack as part of their event. There was no additional charge for that. And there were a lot of people in the community that said, Bill, I don't know that I would offer that. I don't think anybody will do it. Well, holy cow. We opened it up and we have thousands of cars that make multiple runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday down the racetrack. And they just want to go down the racetrack. I mean, it'd be like, hey, here's an opportunity to play flag football at Notre Dame Stadium, right? Or where the Longhorns play, or whomever your favorite team is at the collegiate level. So people it took on a life of its own, and the fun runs became a huge part of the deal, and the event just took off, and it grew and it grew and it grew. So then we started sprinkling in some drag racing, and the street rodders kind of pushed back because they lost some track time. And it's remarkable because 8 out of 10 street rodders are retired drag racers. So even though they're car culture people, even though they were once a drag racer, they became very protective of their track time. So I have been the past 20 plus years trying to strike a balance between having adequate time for fun runs and having adequate time for drag racing. So I think we've found that balance. Now, fast forward to today. The Blue Suede Cruise is a 1978 and older street rod show. There'll be 3,000 street rods on the show field. We've got drag racing with the Nostalgia Drag Racing League, with gassers, and then, of course, the kings of the sport, Top Fuel. We've got Women's World. We've got a concert Saturday night. We've got fireworks. We've got autocrossing. We've got fun runs. We've got kids activities, kids coloring contests. So there are a lot of rings in the Blue Suede Cruise circus. And the cool thing about this event, unlike a national event, unlike a more organized, sophisticated drag race, this thing is just designed to be fun. And it really checks all those boxes. It's a fun event. It's an opportunity. You know, we'll have 3,000 plus street rods. We'll have 120, about 150 race cars, and we'll have 20,000 people throughout the course of the weekend. Real number. Not all in the grandstands at one time, and that's over the course of 3 days. But there are so many things to do, and heck, there are going to be 9,000 people that never leave the show field, right? So they bring in their beloved car, they set it up, they open up their lawn chairs, get their cooler situated, get their mirrors, get their cards, get their polishing rags out, and then they never leave. So it really is one of the coolest events we do all year, from the aspect that it's steeped in pure fun, no pressure, laid back fun, and that's really the kind of genesis or the what makes the Blue Suede Cruise so special.
That's all. Hell, I'm looking forward to it. I'm leaving in 7 days, man. I got to get all my stuff loaded up and ready to go. Yeah, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this event. You know, talking with Jimmy over the past year, you know, talking about what all was going on and you know, what was going to go on at this event. You know, I was like, I got to go. You know, I got to go up there. And plus, I've never been up there. You know, I know the facility, but I've just never been up there in that part of the world, and I'm really looking forward to it. And hopefully, it's not 106 or 108 degrees. I've been looking at y'all's weather. Y'all like mid 70s to lower 80s. Like I might have to bring the jacket with me because it'll be that cold whenever I get there. You know,
trust me. You can always tell a West Coaster or people from that part of the country because 80 degrees is cold, and to us, you're normally in July and August, 90 degrees, high humidity. You have a lot of humidity where you're at, don't you, in Texas, or no?
Well, not too much out here in West Texas, but yeah, I mean, okay. You know, Texas does have humidity in certain parts.
Yeah. So, but no, I'll bring some nice weather and should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I think you should be coming, Darren. How come you're not coming? Oh, yeah, that's Darren, right. You're doing all this traveling lately, man. You're out everywhere.
I'll be in Sonoma. You know, I'll be in Sonoma that weekend.
Darren, are you following the NHRA tour then?
I do most of the West Coast races. Yeah.
Okay.
Pomona, Vegas, Sonoma, Denver this past week in Phoenix. So mostly when the NHRA is in town, I'll do media for Complus or myself, you know, doing that type of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's time to renegotiate. I'll represent you with Bobby Bennett.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. So just like Bandimere was the dream come true, I've always wanted to get to Summit Motorsports Park, too, and check that out. Old IHR World Nationals. I talk about it all the time, you know. Yep. Got to get out to Summit Motorsports Park.
Yep. Those were, you know, I reflect back on the old IHRA days and maybe because I'm older, maybe because I've, you know, been doing this for so long, but I reflect back on those races and for all those years, and man, I don't remember anything bad from any one of those races. They were just fun races, and the grandstands were packed. And I remember the year we had almost or just creeped over 1,100 cars. There was something magical to having over 1,000 cars on property for a national event. And what a really fun time.
So is this I'm guessing, I don't know that I've ever asked this question. Is this the first time that the front motor top fuel cars are going to race there at your place, or?
No.
Okay.
No, you'll have to ask your buddy Jimmy Young about that, because the last time they were here, he had a blowover.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that. Yeah, tell him that story. That's a go-getter right there.
That was, I'm sure it was at the Blue Suede Cruise. And I think he was in the right lane. came off the starting line. The car started climbing, and it went over. And it was like, holy crap. I had only ever seen that on television. I'd never witnessed a blowover. And little Jimmy Young has the dubious honor of being the first and only fuel car blowover at Summit Motorsports Park. So,
wow.
Yeah.
In a front motor car at that.
In a front motor car, which I didn't think was really even possible, if you want to know the truth. And I was announcing that day, and I was in awe. I mean, I just was in awe. And he was okay, thank goodness. And we've talked about it several times since. I'm sure I'll bring it up on the PA system. It was, no, I think front motor top fuel cars have probably raced. We used to, many years ago, we would bring in a couple of cars at night under fire. Jim Orban's Time Bandit. And I'm trying to remember, Jeff Miller was driving for him back then, I believe. Does Jeff still drive for Jim?
No, he's got a different driver now. But yeah, I remember whenever Jeff was driving for him.
Yeah. Well, so Jim just wore Jeff's butt out, and he had to go find another place to race. But we've had front motor cars, and then we ran at the Blue Suede Cruise a couple times. So, but it's been a long time. It's been a really long time, and I'm hoping this can become a staple at this event for many years to come.
Well, if Jim Orban has anything to do with it, it'll definitely be a staple. I mean, how do you really feel about Jim Orban?
No comment.
Do you love him?
No comment. No comment. I have never had a man within 10 seconds. You remember the old ABC Wide World of Sports, Thrill of Victory, Agony of Defeat, with that skier going in the downhill or off that jump? No, I all kidding aside, Jim has tested my patience. He has pushed my limits, and expressed gratitude and love, all within a 5-second parameter. So, no, I have not seen Jim in a long time. He's passionate. He's fiery. He believes in what he's doing, and I look forward to seeing him.
Well, don't worry, because in the green room, we have him waiting to talk to you right now. Are you ready to talk with Jim?
No.
Where's the fax machine, Darren? We need the fax machine.
I will tell you that when I see Jim for the first time, I will give him a hug.
Oh, he is his own like just entity. There is no doubt. I love him to death. He's fun to talk to.
High energy.
The fax machine's coming in.
It's probably past his bedtime because he lives. He's an Ohio resident, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Millersburg.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's not too far. I don't believe is what they were saying.
No, not at all. He's probably out cold by now. It's 10 o'clock, so he's probably asleep.
No, I was talking to Jimmy today about some stuff, and Jim's name came up, just talking about the racers that were coming, and he goes, old Bill and Jim got an interesting relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, well, we'll bring it up on the show tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a love-hate. And no, but I listen, anybody, he's passionate and he's motivated, and our sport needs that. I mean, how we now live in a society where people lack passion and lack motivation and are content to sit on their high knees. So I will always embrace somebody with passion for sure.
You got to have the characters out there, right? You got to have that personality that comes along with everything, and that's what makes it fun. Is just and then you're like, I need everybody to go home. It's Sunday. Get off my place.
Yes, that's right. My fun meter is peaked. I'll see you next year.
That's it. See you in 365 days, boys.
That's right.
So I'm excited. So along with that, we the NDRL's racing there, right? Mm-hmm. So the Nostalgia Drag Racing League. What they'll race what? Any one, any two, any three, stuff like that, or what? Do you know what all's coming with their deal? I haven't got to look at their schedule yet.
No, as far as cars,
Yes.
no, they're bringing Pro 70, 750. They are running. They're two. They're bringing 5 classes.
Okay.
So they're bringing their full program along with their newest class, which is a stick shift class, modified production.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of racing to watch along with this car show. I want to check out. I'm going to have to charge my battery in my golf cart a lot because I'm probably going to be over there in that car show looking to see what's going on.
Well, we had Dave Kindig last year, and Dave Kindig stayed for the event the entire weekend, shot an episode from Norwalk, and he was in awe of the cars. We had almost 50 acres of cars. We've got a huge manufacturer's midway. Lingenfelter does an incredible display, Cometic gasket. Summit will be there. Mickey Thompson, Jack's Wax. So we have a really good midway. We do some seminars, stuff for the kids. And then on Saturday, we have a full day of racing. Of course, you're qualifying on Friday and eliminating on Saturday. 2 qualifying sessions on Friday. We race to completion on Saturday. And then Saturday evening, we have a tremendous concert. And then we do a spectacular fireworks show. So there is something for everybody. Very family centric. And again, as I said earlier, just designed to be fun. And I'm sure that there will be people over on the car show side. They're going to get hit with that nitro. The first year we brought fuel cars in, I put them on the car show side. Okay. Because the show hadn't grown to the size it is now. And we may have had to have transported 6 to 10 people that were all suffering from nitromethane asphyxiation. So, and they said, for God's sakes, get those cars away from us. We can't breathe. And I thought, that's the whole point of Top. So, yeah, fun event.
And that's what's exciting for us is, and we'll do a deal where we're going to fire their cars up, fire one, fire the next one, fire the next one. I mean, all the way down the road, and watch the whole group of people move, behind every car. And you've got some of them, man, they're like right up there where it's almost burning them in the face. And then you got another one over there like he's just got out of the gas chamber, puking over there. It's fun to watch, whenever you're sitting there, because a lot of times, like whenever I'm in the car or whatever we're doing, I can't see, what's going on behind me, but I'll hop out and then I'm watching everybody else go down the deal. And it's like, man, y'all, I don't even go do that. And I own the car.
Yeah.
They'll definitely get a show of it. There's no doubt about it.
It's funny. You made a comment about not being able to see. So quick story, Friday night, Summit Racing Equipment, NHRA Nationals, we had a heavy, heavy fog. The air was dense, temperature dew point, humidity was 100%, and the air was just heavy, and fuel cars were flying. I mean, flying. And Caps goes 330 something, and in his top end interview, he makes a comment and not being able to see because of the air, right? I mean, we've got killer track lighting. Lighting was not a problem, but he made a comment he couldn't see, and I thought, Caps, you're being such a baby. Well, so Friday night about 1:30 in the morning, I'm going home, and I couldn't see. I'm going 55 miles an hour down 18. My windows are down. I'm doing everything I can, and I cannot see. And I thought, wow, now I feel bad because Cap 330 and complaining about not being able to see. I can't see going 55. So it's just fun. Your group, I think our fans are going to enjoy getting up close and personal with those cars and getting autographs. And I mean, they're very cool. I mean, they are, as far as I'm concerned, a front motor nitromethane top fuel car is its own unique animal. I mean, these cars were deemed so dangerous that they moved the motors behind the drivers, right? And Garlett's from his hospital bed after he loses part of his foot, sketches out what we know now is a modern day Top Fuel dragster. So the fact that you guys, I mean, the riders that ride Top Fuel Harleys, just a unique breed of human being, quite frankly.
I can honestly say that is about as true as it gets, because you got to be. I mean, I want to say, like, and not a lot of people like this, but you can just go back 1985 retarded to decide that you want to go ahead and buy one of these cars and make it go, because and we talk about this a lot on this show. It's a tremendous amount of work, and it's a whole lot of money, but man, whenever you get there and you got those fans there and you fire the cars up, and like, kids are smiling, and they really don't even know what they're looking at, but they just know it's really cool and loud and it makes my eyes burn. It's worth it to me. The rest of it's all whatever, but it's so fun, because later on after a race, I'll have so many people sending me like messages. Hey man, not anybody that I know, they just look you up on social media. Really enjoyed you being there. Thanks for coming out and talking with us. That's another thing we get to do, as drivers, really get out there and talk with everybody. And, I pull the cowl off my car, and I don't know, I'll probably put 100 kids in my car at Bandamere, here, sit, they just want to see what is it like to sit in one of these cars, and you never know. One of those kids out of that deal could be the one that was like me and just like, I need to build one. So you get, we'll stay on top of that for sure. And it's been a little while since we got the race, so everybody's all itchy, right? Like they're just kind of like they're ready to go. Like Sean Bowen, he put on there. He's ready to go. He's ready to race. Michigan boy, ready to show up. So. Cool. I can only imagine what's going to happen.
Sure. That's cool.
Well, Mike Taylor in the comments says, I've been waiting to race at Norwalk for 30 years. I am stoked. How cool is that for Mike Taylor? Experience a lifelong dream. That's awesome.
Yeah. I know he's working on his stuff right now. He'll be ready to go. I'm sure he's going to bring his A game whenever it comes on. His car's running good for sure.
And also, since you brought up Don Garlitz, so when I was at Bandamere this past weekend, I have no idea if this story is true or not, because obviously I wasn't around, but I have some from Southern California. So when Garlitz had his accident at Lions Drag Strip, which is about 15 minutes from my house where it was located, he said that the guy that was telling me the story was there that day. He said that Garlitz lost his foot. When they put him in the ambulance, they accidentally actually slammed the back door of the ambulance on his foot. That got chopped off in half. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he told me. So,
I like to call that insult to injury.
Yeah. Back then, it was so much the Wild West. And I love all these old stories about, you hear all these things that took place at racetracks back in the day. And I mean, you want to talk about pioneers? These men and women were pioneers for sure. And I remember when somebody eclipsed the 200 mile an hour mark, and then 250, and then 300. And yeah, pretty incredible. Don is a friend, and I've had the good fortune of doing a number of press tours with him and having conversations with him. And I cannot corroborate that story, but it wouldn't surprise me.
The one thing is that, what is he, 92 now, right? I think he's like 92. He would probably still remember it. Like, I've got to talk with him before, and it's like, that guy's on it.
He is sharp. And, last I knew, which was right after COVID, I called Don at the museum, and they said, hey, he's busy right now. And I said, well, what's he doing? It's after hours. And he said, well, he would take a car out the back behind the museum, a fuel car, and he just liked sitting in it, and they would light it, And but that man is really sharp, really sharp. He's sharp about world events. He's sharp about politics. He's well read. Here's an interesting Garlitz story. So back in the day, when he would match race, and you would always negotiate a contract, whatever it was. Let's say it's $5,000. I don't know what it was, but let's say the contract called for $5,000. In lieu of cash or check, Don requested to be paid in precious metal. So you would pay Garlits in gold or silver. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's smart. I mean, to have the foresight 30, 40 years ago to, in lieu of damn near valueless cash, to get paid in precious metal, smart man.
You just got to wonder where you're running down there to get gold and silver at the local pawn shop. Like,
Remember, Mike, back in the day, you could just get it at the bank.
Oh,
I mean, oh yeah, back in the day, especially when we were on the gold standard, you could get gold and silver from banks, so it was easy back then.
You got to wonder if you walked around with a metal detector in his house out there by the museum, what you'd find out there in that yard.
Yep. Yep.
I'm sure it's very interesting. Well, Garland's got to go down there. He was at the Bowling Green race. He was the grand marshal down there at the Bowling Green race, man. I got to see a lot of good videos of him. He brought down his little swamp rat car, fired it off, and it looked like he had he had a really good time. Everybody said they enjoyed having him around.
Yep. Good man.
Another good one right there.
Yep.
Well, awesome.
Bill, just a few more questions before we get you out of here. Brian Hall, Top Fuel driver, says, will there be a swap meet at the Blue Suede Cruise?
Yes, there will be a swap meet.
Gotcha. And then one more from Cal Huff, who recently just got his Top Fuel license a couple weeks ago out at Bowling Green. He says, Bill Bader puts on some of the greatest events and shows ever. Will there be fireworks? So you said there will be fireworks, but you guys are also known for great ice cream and any musical performances at the Blue Suede Cruise.
Yep, we have a phenomenal gentleman who is going to perform Elvis and do kind of a greatest hits, and he's got the background singers and the different brass sections, and it's going to be quite a production. And then his last song, which I think is going to be American Trilogy, at the very end of that, we will go right into a spectacular fireworks show, the same budget that we had for the national event. So yes, should be a yes to great music. And you know what? If you don't like Elvis, you don't come. I can't think of a human being who doesn't love Elvis Presley. No, if you don't like Elvis, still come to the Blue Suede Cruise. But we thought it would be fun, and this gentleman is spectacular. So music should be fun. Ladies love him. He's got all the cool jumpsuits. And the scarves and the look and the sound and then killer fireworks to follow. And yes, we have ice cream.
Michael, if you blow up at 1,000 feet at Norwalk, I know it's not Memphis, but if you blow up at 1,000 feet, you got to say you saw Elvis at 1,000 feet. You got to.
Oh my God, I will absolutely say it.
How about Michael? You don't blow up.
No, we're going to try not to do that. But if it happens, I'm going to tell you I saw Elvis. Okay. I might get out and do a little dance. You never know. So not only the Blue Suede Cruise, but the following weekend y'all have another race, right?
The following week we have the 46th annual Cornwall Tools Night Under Fire.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, this is if you don't like drag racing, apparently don't be in Norwalk, because you can just stay there all week. Just stay there.
Well, and this weekend we have the Ames Performance Tri-Power Pontiac Nationals, which is a mammoth event. So we've got this back to back with the Pontiac Nationals, the Blue Suede Cruise, and Night Under Fire. And I just hope that all my team is still working on Monday after Night Under Fire. But yeah, it's kind of our tough summer stretch. But there's 3 great events back to back.
So there's no fireworks anywhere in Ohio now to purchase, correct? Y'all own all the fireworks in the state.
We have we have we're going to be shooting at Night Under Fire from nine different locations simultaneously. It is a 9 minute and 30-second sensory overload. Complete. We will be exhausting 160 gallons of gasoline for our gasoline bombs throughout the show. And we again, fireworks are kind of our thing, and yes, we have cornered the market on fireworks here for the next couple weeks.
Outstanding. And drywall buckets and stuff like that. I'm probably going to bring some coffee and some drywall buckets and maybe some of that Texas gunpowder I got. We'll see if we can have some fun.
This has been talked about so much that I am thinking about actually making some low power Primora bombs, just because they were just so much fun. You know? So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, man, Darren, you good? I mean, I feel like that we've covered all of his bases. I mean, he's kind of laid it all out to us, what's going to happen. You know, us Top Fuel guys better show up and show out, I'm guessing, because if not, we're going to get showed up by the fireworks show.
Oh, yeah, I'm good, man. It's 10:15 on his side of the country, so I know he wants to go to bed soon. But I do have one more question, and this is kind of to piss off Michael. So this is just to spite Michael. So obviously, Blue Suede Cruise, you have extreme Top Fuel on the property, nostalgia Top Fuel, frontage and Top Fuel, whichever you want to call it. You ever thought about bringing Legends Nitro Funny Car to the national event probably next year? Have you been in talks with them? Bring nostalgia funny cars?
We did 2014, 15. We brought in 8 true period correct historic funny cars. And actually, as a favor, I asked Frank Hawley if he would drive the Chi-Town, and he did. So we had the Chi-Town that Frank Hawley drove. We had Dale Poldy in the War Eagle. We had the Blue Max car. We had, I'd have to go back and look, but we had all of the hot cars. And I would almost like to, truthfully, maybe that's the direction we go for the Blue Suede Cruise. and I think it's tough to take historic funny cars and historic dragsters, put them in contemporary settings with contemporary cars. I don't think you do the historic cars justice. You know what I mean? They've earned the stage to have the stage, to be the kings of the sport. And I saw the disservice we did them when we ran contemporary fuel funny cars and historic funny cars. You know, when fans have an opportunity to see those things side by side. So I would love, what's the biggest historic, what's the largest nostalgia drag race in the country? Is it the March Meet?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sure. What I'd like to do is create the largest historic race, east of the Mississippi. And so that's kind of where I'm headed. And Michael, I'd be curious to know your thoughts, or Darren, your thoughts about my thoughts regarding, your question.
Well, on our end of it, and we've talked a lot about this over the past couple of years, especially since I've got into it, and me and Darren, got this show going, and talking about the 2 different stages. And you're absolutely right. It's really hard to put the cars that we run on the same stage as something that runs 330 miles an hour. Yeah. Whenever you're trying to make these cars be where these cars are at on their own stage. And that's why we have these events like that we go to, it's because, those Top Fuel cars, are the top of the line, deals. I mean, we show up at a race and we are the fastest, the quickest, the loudest, put the big flames out cars. And if you did do something like that, and this is just my 2 cents, you'd be heading in the right direction to make it its own event. 110%. And, I think that the people that are involved in this kind of racing would be more than happy to help you move forward with that. Well, and that's all the classes. I mean, Nostalgia Drag Racing League is a huge deal within, say our Heritage Series races.
Yep.
So you got front motor top fuel, the funny cars, and the fuel alters. Man, I mean, it's just a great show whenever all of them are on the property together. And then I've seen in the short amount of time that I've been doing this, the fans that really like that or really like that kind of racing show up in droves, just to come watch it. And a lot of times they drag people that don't even know that these cars still run or that they exist. They'll drag those people out there and they're like, well, I didn't even know this racing was going on like this. And then, they see this car on a 12-inch wide tire and little skinnies and a motor in front of you. And, you're sitting on the rear end and it goes out there, runs 260 miles an hour. And they're just blown away about, like, I can't even believe y'all are out there doing that. So it's, it's definitely something. It's awesome that you're thinking about it. I always love to hear that people are thinking about that. And if you ever did, I'm sure you could poke a few of us and we'd definitely help you move forward with it.
For sure. Well, and you know what? Narrow tire, sitting on the rear end, motor right in front of you, going 260 miles an hour. That's pretty incredible. Okay. And it's my job as the announcer to sell that, to identify the obvious. Because when I ran the historic cars at Night Under Fire, some of the comments were, well, they didn't run as fast as John Force ran. Well, I'll guard my language, but yeah, that's an obvious. Look at what this guy's or this gal's attempting to do in this historic configuration versus what a contemporary car is doing. So I just think it's not fair. Quite frankly, it's not fair. And I think these cars have earned their own platform. Darren, we talked about this with alcohol cars. I mean, an alcohol car is going 270, 280 miles an hour. When did that become pedestrian? Well, it becomes pedestrian when their fuel counterparts are going 50 miles an hour faster. But that's not a disservice to the alcohol team. It's like, I was a really good sprinter in high school, but if I were invited to a celebrity foot race with Usain Bolt, all of a sudden I'm just a really slow middle-aged white guy. So I guess it's my job as the promoter to construct the event that the public will enjoy and consume en masse and be excited to return next year. So, and I do think this thing started on the left coast for sure, but there are plenty of people. I mean, this is 78% of the population in the United States is within an 8-hour drive of my zip code. So there are plenty of people here. So I'm really anxious to see how this is received next weekend at the Blue Suede Cruise. So Darren,
and that's another thing we really like to talk about too in this class, and is, we actually have rules. Like, we have the size of our fuel pump, the amount of overdrive that we can run, the size of the blower that's on there. I mean, we literally have a set of rules that keeps these cars from actually going any faster than. I mean, they still haul butt, but I mean, if we went out there and it was just wide open, what did Bartone ran 272 miles an hour? I mean, in a front motor car, I mean, that you could, it could very easily be done, but it's I don't want to say this is just like a grassroots kind of racing, but it is definitely a grassroots deal where guys that have a really good job can actually go build these cars and race competitively if they've got the go to go do it. And that's what this is. The guys that come to these races, you take Mike Taylor, he's got an 8 to 5 job, man. He always likes to say, I cash checks, I don't write them, and he's out there racing in top fuel. That's the difference between us guys and those guys that are in the big show stuff. We don't have to chase those sponsors. We're borrowing stuff from our buddies to go race.
Well, and that's how they were doing it in the 60s and 70s, the same way you guys are doing it today. So I think here's the problem with racers. If left to their own devices, they will race themselves into extinction, you know?
Yep.
So once the horse is out of the barn, and we've seen this at the NHRA level, once the horse is out of the barn, man, it is tough to get the horse back in the barn. So I think you manage on the front end, and as a promoter, I want the smell, I want the taste, I want the visual, I want that visceral, I want my body shaken, and I want good side-by-side racing. I don't need to set world records. I need people wondering who's going to win. I need people to care about Michael Anderson. I need people to care about Jimmy Young. I need people to care about all of the guys and gals in the helmets. And that is the challenge, So
sensory overload is, I always like to say, is what people really like. In the end, they're not really worried about if you go run 250 miles an hour. They just want to have that whole sensory overload of everything's burning and I can't barely see, and I'm right here next to it. And and after that, then they're like, can't wait till next year. And now let's go blow some shit up with fireworks, stuff like that for some more sensory overload.
Darren, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, I think I always say that, and I tell Michael this all the time. My dream race for these nostalgia cars, we don't like calling them nostalgia, but a 16 car field of front engine top fuel cars, funny cars, and fuel alters. I mean, that would be amazing. We already have the March meet. Michael knows we came up just short of having a 16 car field for the March meet. But if we could have that east of the Mississippi, have that March meet type field on the East Coast, I think that'd be simply amazing.
Yep.
I'll be all for it.
Yep. Super cool for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think we've covered it all now. What else are we going to talk about? All that's left is politics, but we ain't doing that.
My guess is that we're probably fairly like-minded, as are our listeners. So motorsports fans are pretty red, white, and blue Christian conservative people, and it's what makes the community such a blessing. But whenever I tell my PR people, Mary Lenzen, who I think, Darren, or are familiar with, she always gives me, Bill, we're not going to talk about politics, right? And I said, yes, Mary, that's true. No politics. So.
Well, man, we sure do appreciate you coming on the show. This is Darren and I's little hangout on Wednesdays, and we just like I said, man, it's just a bunch of dudes talking, and
Sure.
There's more people sitting there watching than you think. It's really crazy whenever these shows get done, how many views are actually on there. So, man, we appreciate it, and I can't wait to meet you.
You know what? I can't wait to meet you. I appreciate the opportunity, and if I can ever help you guys, don't hesitate to ask, and let's do this again soon.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Take care. God bless.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 19.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant, our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
I don't know if I could play that commercial.
Dude, I mean, every week we got, we're stepping it up on the commercial situation around here. I'm even watching them like, wow, did we get Peak?
No, like I said, I don't think I was supposed to play that commercial.
Oh, but man, I mean, we're really getting in high cotton around here. We're hanging with the forces now, man.
You talk about force. You talk about a force within drag racing. Bill Bader Jr. What a great interview. Just taking out the time. I know it's like 10:15 on his side of the country, but to take out the time to talk to us and really go in depth and really, give us his thoughts. I mean, simply amazing.
Yeah, I think that getting these track owners message out about how they really feel about what's going on right now, it needs to happen more often. I think that would even draw even more people in, because they're like, man, not that he needs any help or anything like that, but it's, fans just need to keep coming and coming and coming. And if they know that the guy, cares that much for his business, his family business is, what it really is, I'm sure he's grown up at that track. I mean, it's his life, and to have some of the stuff that's happened is pretty amazing. To get through it is awesome. And but you can tell the passion the guy's got, man. These track owners that we've had on the show, every one of them is very passionate about what they're doing. Very passionate about it.
No, for sure, for sure. We got some comments coming in right here. Larry Gotcha says, "Great show. See you Thursday." Curtis Carr says, "Thanks, Bill." And then Drag Racing Central with the joke, he says, "You guys are signing a lot of commercial deals." LOL. And then our man Justin, he's commenting. He says, "Fantastic interview. Great job, boys." Appreciate that, Justin. And one more right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no, and that's it's hard to. I'm sure it's hard to watch what's going on, but man, some of these tracks have been there 60 years. It's pretty amazing. I mean, a lot of businesses in this world don't make it past 10. It's amazing to see what's going on with that. I hate to hear about some of those other ones that have just gone. I mean, you're just like, oh man, what can you do? But then you meet a guy like Bill Bader Jr. there, and he's thinking forward, like, I'd like to try to do this or do that, and maybe bring these cars in here at this capacity. And I think that there is probably a lot more tracks out there that would love to have us come over there and race with them, because once you're there and you get to see it, I mean, it's always like, man, can't wait till the next year or the next time, or, just every time that I've ever met anybody that's around it, they've always loved it. So, hats off to him, man, for having a hell of a facility.
Yeah, and it's such a great interview. If you guys would do us a solid, we have a lot of people tuning in right now. Make sure to like this show and share the show. Let's get the algorithm up and just let everybody know we had a great sit-down interview with Bill Bader Jr. So make sure to do that. Like it, share it, comment, and do all that. Let this show get out there into the Webiverse, I guess, whatever it's called. I don't know.
Whatever, however you get it out there. Yeah. I'll try to get around and do some filming of the actual, outside of just the drag racing, that, what's going on. I'm surprised Brian Hall ain't flying out there for the swap meet. That guy's, he's ate up with the whole swap meet deal. He's like, he hadn't bought everything up over there at that deal, but get around there and check it out, man. So people can see that. There could be people on here that didn't know that this is. I mean, I've been around drag racing for a pretty good while, and I didn't know that this was like this big of an event, up there. So super cool that we get to get it out there to all the folks that watch our show.
We need to see this blowover from Jimmy Young, though. That's what I'm really curious to see.
Oh, I've seen a picture of it, man. The car is straight. Actually, it's all the way over, and it's like coming to the roll cage. I think he sent me a picture. He'll send it to me. But yeah, we definitely need to get it on there. I knew that deal had happened, so I was like, let's just talk about what front motor cars have been out there, and it's crazy to even think that you could do that. But if there was somebody that was going to do it, it'd be him. I mean, and then probably fix the car afterwards. Got to make it to the next round, man. So,
Kevin Rowe. You asked Kevin Rowe if I met Kevin Rowe at Bandamere. He says, "Did Darren make it to the Mile Highs?" And yes, I did make it to the Mile Highs. Wish I could have met up with you, Kevin. But man, I guess I was gonna say next year, but there's no next year. This kind of
man,
sucks.
Kevin was down there taking pictures with everybody. Like every time I turned around, he had some, top fuel driver hugged up over there taking pictures with him. But I'm sure he's back in Arizona now. I think I saw that.
Oh, he's from Arizona. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he just moved there. He just within the month just moved down there to Arizona, to Tucson, right outside. I think he said he's like 7 miles from the track or something, like 5 miles. Like he's got a killer front motor car, dude. Like it's.
Oh, it really does. Okay.
Yeah, it's bad to the bone, but yeah, good dude for sure.
Finally, before we get out of here, got to give a shout out to one of our own, and he's in the comments every weekend supporting this show, Gary Wheeler Jr. This past weekend in Mocan Dragway, from the number 8 qualifying position, defeated your number 1 qualifier, Kevin Kinsley, in the War Wagon AA Fuel Altered. Gary Wheeler only trails Megan Meyer by 6 points for the Nitro Chaos Championship, going into Pine Valley Raceway at Lufkin, Texas, in about a month or so. So want to give a shout out to Gary Wheeler. Everybody go support him. Like I said, he's kind of one of our own kings of the sport, a front engine top fuel dragster. He trails and he's fighting out with some of the best 8 fuel cars in the country. Megan Meyer, Rachel Meyer, Todd Bruce. He's surrounded by a bunch of 8 fuel cars, but he only trails by 6 points for the championship. So we want to give all the support to Gary Wheeler Jr. fighting for that championship in Nitro Chaos.
Yeah, man, Gary Wheeler, talk to him regularly, man. Dude's out there, making it happen with his Nitro Chaos car. I'm hoping that we get to see him at Tulsa with his Heritage Legal car, come out there. I'm sure, they're literally 5 minutes from the track. I'm sure they'll come out there for that. But yeah, man, it's crazy. They're out there ripping it up, dude, smoking pistons and getting shit. Just trying to do whatever he can. And to put the War Wagon on the trailer.
Put him on a trailer.
Come on, man. Like, I was like, whoa, my God, that car rips, but that's cool. It seems exciting. I got a message from Chris Graves today, man. He was on me about coming out there to Lufkin and racing in that deal. And it's like literally the weekend after Tulsa. And I'm like, dude, if I got some parts left, we'll talk about it. There ain't no telling what's going to happen. But that finals race ought to be, because Megan Meyer's in first, Wheeler, and I think one other person's tied for second, right? Or no?
I think it's Todd Bruce.
Is that Todd Bruce? Okay, yeah. I was thinking I just kind of looked at the list, earlier today and saw that deal. So, there's going to be some dudes like cutthroat racing going on.
Also, our boy Joe Gallegos, he's 4th. Yeah, he has an outside chance, I believe.
Yeah, and man, because he went to the semis, right? He went to the semis, and I think he hurt a part, or something ended up. He broke 2 rods in half.
No, he went to the final in the B field.
The final, that's right. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Lost Max Beckman. Yeah.
Yeah, because he sent like some pictures out on another group that we have, and it's like, a piston and half a rod and the rest of the rod. And I was like, holy cow, man, you lighten it up, Joseph. You lighten it up. So, but yeah, man, we got some kings of the sports hanging out there, running with these big show cars. Yeah. It's good. It's good to see them out there doing it for sure.
And I'm sure that a Champion Speed Shop car is going to be on display at the NHRA Sonoma Nationals in just a few weeks. I should be there in Sonoma. But Michael, any final thoughts, man?
Man, just looking forward to getting up there to Norwalk and putting on a good show, man. We're going to be working our tail off for the next 6 days to try to get this thing, all buttoned up and loaded up. And then, man, y'all just kind of follow us. I'll try to put out as much info about what's going on. If we can, I'm good with trying to do a show next Wednesday if you want. We talked about trying to get the new family on. I sent a message out to them about that. Had a good response, so kind of get with them. But I'd love to talk to them about their race because I like that race too. So,
Sounds good.
And we got to talk about all of them, man. That's all we got to do. So we'll do what we can to get all that info out to everybody. If Darren wants to keep sending out the emails, we'll keep going on with it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in to episode 15 of the Kings of the Sport podcast. I'm Darren Williams Jr. along with the West Texas Hustler, Michael Anderson. I guess we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
See ya.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.